Good morning, children. How are you all? I hope that all of you are well at your home. This session is for class 6th, subject Social Science, chapter number 7 of History, and the name of the chapter is New Questions and Ideas. It's going to be our lecture number 1. In 6th chapter of History, we talked about Janpadas and Mahajanpadas. After the development of Mahajanpadas, some of them they were becoming more and more powerful, and the lives of the people were changing. So the new questions, new ideas, they are in the mind of different scholars. So that is based on that. We are going to talk about the different scholars that are in this chapter. So let's see the topics. Topics to be covered. Number 1, Gautam Buddha, one of the scholars who founded Buddhism. Buddhism is one of the religions that are in India. As the different religions are found in India like Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Jainism. So the founder of Buddhism was Gautam Buddha. Number 2, teachings of Buddha. What type of preachings or teachings Buddha gave to the people? That we'll talk about. Number 3, the story of Kisa Gotami, that is related to the life of Buddha itself. Number 4, Panini the grammarian will talk here, one of the scholar. And number 5, the homework will take on the basis of different topics covered in the lecture. Let's start with the topics. Before that, we'll take a little introduction. This was the time of rapid change in the lives of the people. Some kings in Mahajanpadas were growing more powerful. New cities were developing and life was changing in villages as well. Many thinkers were trying to understand these changes in society, so new questions and ideas were brought by thinkers. So this is the time when the changes were there in the lives of people, and to understand these changes, different questions and ideas were brought by different scholars and thinkers. So let's start now. The first is Gautam Buddha. As I told you that he was the founder of Buddhism. So firstly we'll talk about the life of Gautam Buddha. Gautam Buddha was the founder of Buddhism. As I told you that he founded the Buddhism. Next is, his real name was Siddhartha. He was a Kshatriya. Kshatriya, as in previous chapters we talk about Varnas, Brahmin, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras. So Siddhartha or Gautam Buddha, he belonged to Kshatriya family and he was a prince basically. He was living with all comforts of his life, but once he saw the people there in the society, those had the different sufferings, and then he thought about the true knowledge of the life. And for getting the true knowledge of the life, or for getting enlightenment in his life, he left all the comforts of the palace and he meditated there in jungle. Okay, for the long period of time, for getting the true knowledge of the life, he left his home. Next, he belonged to a small Gana known as the Sakya Gana. Gana, as we discussed in previous chapter also, the group of people, Gana, Sangha. Okay, so he belonged to Sakyagana. He meditated under a peepal tree at Bodh Gaya in Bihar. For getting the true knowledge in his life, Gautam Buddha meditated for the long time there under a peepal tree at Bodh Gaya. And after getting enlightenment in his life, he taught the people in Sarnath for the first time. Okay, after getting enlightenment in his life, when he started teaching the people, the first time when he taught the people, there he taught in Sarnath near Varanasi. And after then he was just on his foot. He was moving from one place to another for giving his preachings to more and more people. And at last he passed away at Kushinara. This is the brief life story of Gautam Buddha, the founder of Buddhism. Now, main teachings of Gautam Buddha. What he was teaching to the people, place to place. These are the main teachings. He taught the people that life is full of sufferings and unhappiness. When he saw there in the society, the many people, they are unhappy, they are suffering with different diseases. So he concluded that the life of the people are full of sufferings and unhappiness. After getting enlightenment, he observed that. Then he also taught the people to be kind and respect the lives of others. That was also one of the main teachings of Gautam Buddha, that you must be kind with other people, you must respect the lives of others also. Buddha believed that result of our actions affect us in this life and next life also. According to Buddha, actions means karma. Whatever we are doing in this life, it would affect this life as well as next life also. So he believed that we must do the good deeds, good actions only, so that our this life and the next life would be happy. So he believed that our karmas affect our life, this and the next also. Next, he believed that cravings could be removed by moderation. Here, craving means the strong desires, because you know the human nature. When a person who has the different comforts of the life, but the person he really wants more and more in his life. Okay, when a person has bungalow, the definitely different cars he want. If cars are there, different new things he want. So these are our desires. So he believed that these desires, these strong desires, these cravings could be removed by moderation only. Moderation means self-control. So according to Buddha, when we have self-control, we have control on ourselves, then only we can control, we can remove our cravings. When desires are endless, we want more and more in our life. He described it as tanha or thirst. So according to Buddha, when desires are endless, when we want more and more, if one thing we get, we want more, then second thing, then we want more and more in our life, means our desires are endless in that case. So he described that as thirst. Thirst means pyas, means the person has thirst of the things. So he described it as tanha or thirst. These are some of the main teachings of Buddha. Now we'll see different ways how Buddha spread his messages. Ways of spreading messages by Buddha to more and more people. Number one, Buddha taught the people in Prakrit language, that was the language of ordinary people. This was one of the things that Buddha adapted, the Prakrit language. And Prakrit language during that period of time was the language of ordinary people. And Buddha wanted to give the knowledge to more and more people. And it was possible when he taught in Prakrit, because Prakrit language, the people, they were able to understand. That's why he adopted the Prakrit language for teaching the different people. Number 2, Gautam Buddha moved from one place to another to give his messages. Means he himself moved from one place to another for giving messages to different people. This is also one of the way of spreading messages among the people. Number 3, he encouraged the people to think themselves rather to accept what he said. So he encouraged the people that don't accept what I am saying. You experience it, then accept. So he encouraged the people to think themselves. He was not forcing the people whatever he was saying, but he asked them to think themselves rather to accept what he said. So these were some of the ways that Buddha adopted for spreading his messages among different people. Next is the story of Kisa Gotami. Kisa Gotami's story, and in that story Buddha made her realize the truth of life. What is the story? There was a woman named Kisa Gotami whose son had died. She went to meet Buddha, asked him to bring his son back to life. Basically, he loved her son very much, and he was moving place to place. He begged the people for the life of her son. Then one person took him to Buddha. Okay, then see what happened there. Buddha said, "Bring me handful of mustard seeds and I will bring your child back to life." He added one more thing. The seed must come from the house of a family where nobody has died. She did not find that type of house. So what Buddha did to make that lady understand the truth of life, that life after the death is the truth of life, and that comes in everybody's life, in every home even. So what he said that you bring me handful of mustard seeds, and she was very happy. Okay, but he added one more thing, that the seed must come from the house of a family where nobody has died. Then she went door to door, but wherever she went, she found out that someone or the other, father, mother, sister, brother, husband, wife, child, grandfather, grandmother had died. Means every house she got that any of the person had died in that family. So she did not find that type of house. In this way, Gautam Buddha made her realize that nobody is there who had not meet that death. So everybody's life, in everybody's life, that portion or the life that comes, the death that comes. So we can't stop our life due to that. This was one of the incident how Buddha made her realized according to her experience only. She was moving place to place, she was moving house to house, door to door, and then she realized that really every person faced that moment. Next is Upanishads. What is this Upanishad? These are philosophical books of Hindus. These were the parts of later Vedic text. Upanishads literally means approaching and sitting near. The text contain conversation between teachers and students. So Upanishads means the philosophical books of the Upanishads are the philosophical books of Hindus, and you know that we talked about Vedas, 4 Vedas. So these were the parts of later Vedic text, means they were written after Vedas. Upanishads literally means, if we talk about, approaching and sitting near. And what is given there in these Upanishads, basically these texts contain conversation between teachers and student. Okay, and these ideas are presented through very simple dialogues. So this is Upanishads, and here we talk about some of the Upanishadic thinkers and what a type of questions they wanted to answer, that we'll talk about. So the next is Upanishadic thinkers. As I told you that Upanishadic thinkers, they also try to find the questions of difficult questions, the answers of difficult questions. Okay, some of them they wanted to know they wanted to find the answers of different questions, like Upanishadic thinkers wanted to know the life after death. That was the question in their mind, what is there after the death? Some wanted to know why sacrifices should be performed. During that period of time, sacrifices, they were common, as we talked the horse sacrifices also. So some of them, they wanted to know why these sacrifices should be performed. Are they necessary? They felt that there was something permanent that would last even after death. Then some of the scholars, some of the thinkers, they felt that something is permanent that would last even after the death. Then he described it as Atma, and he also described that the individual soul is known as Atma, and the universal soul that include all, that is also known as Brahman. Atma and Brahman, basically both were same. Atma is used for the individual soul, and for universal soul it is used Brahman. So these were some of the questions that they wanted to find the answer. Next is Panini the grammarian. As I told you that different scholars were there, so Panini was also one of the famous scholar of that time. Panini the grammarian. Why we call it? Because Panini prepared the grammar. Panini was the most famous scholar of that time. He prepared grammar for Sanskrit. He arranged the vowels and consonants in a special order and form these special order and create formulae like those found in algebra. So he used these to write down the rules of the language in short formulas. Okay, so he was known as the grammarian because he prepared grammar for Sanskrit. So this is about Panini. And as I told you that Upanishadic thinkers, most of the Upanishadic thinkers were Brahmins. Okay, they belonged to Brahmin family, and very exceptional cases were there. Those were from the Shudras or any other Varnas. And women, they were not there. Only exceptional case one we have read there, like Gargi. Gargi, who was famous scholar, famous Upanishadic thinkers who participated in different debates at that time. She was exceptional case only. Otherwise, women scholars were not there, and even the scholars from the lower caste were also not there. Most of them were Brahmin. Only exceptional case was there, Satyakama Jabala. Satyakama Jabala, who named after his mother the slave women Jabali. He was son of slave women Jabali. So these were some two exceptional cases are given in your book. Gargi, she was the Upanishadic thinker, and Satyakama Jabala, who was son of slave Jabali. Otherwise, most of the scholars, Upanishadic scholars, they were the Brahmins. So this is all about today's lecture. We will be covering some more topics in next lecture. We'll talk about Jainism, we'll talk about viharas, monasteries. Okay, so these some topics we will be covering in next lecture. Now it's time for homework. Do the following questions in your fair register. Number 1, describe the ways in which the Buddha tried to spread his messages to the people. The ways of spreading messages that we talked about in the lecture, you'll write here. Number 2, what are the main teachings of Gautam Buddha? That also clearly we have done there. So same will be there. Number 3, what were the questions that Upanishadic thinkers wanted to answer? The questions that Upanishadic thinkers wanted to answer, that also we covered in the lecture. So you'll write here in points. Number 4, write a short note on Gautam Buddha. Here you'll write about the life of Gautam Buddha in short or in brief that we discussed. Okay, so these questions you will attempt in your fair register. If any confusion is there, so definitely on the very next day you will be getting the solution. You can check your answer from there. Till then, thank you and have